Hey guys, what's up? This is Casey.
And Coach Tom.
And this is Shot Science Overtime time number 195.
Well, we're closing in on 200, Casey.
Yeah, and I almost screwed up the intro already. So this is our live show, you guys. And we're doing it an hour later than we normally do. But if you guys are looking for our shorter, kind of more to the point tutorial videos, those are still in our video library. This is a little different thing where we like to answer your guys' questions and kind of have a chat with you. And it's going to be a little bit longer. So if this isn't your thing, now is a perfect time to jump on out. Philip Cohn, what's going on, buddy?
All right, Philip.
And make sure that you guys check out all of our social media stuff. We're Shot Science on everything. We're at Shot Science. You can go to shotscience.com. Girl all Seedhu says hi. What's
all
up?
Right.
So go to shotscience.com. You guys can get your Shot Science shirts.
Yep.
Represent Shot Science a little bit. You can go get the vertical jump box. You can get some other training gear there. You can sign up for the all access membership area where we go into more detail on the stuff that we talk about on YouTube, but we go into even more detail on demonstrations, drills, and other cool kind of breakdowns. And if you guys wear any of our gear or use any of our gear, we like to feature people that do that on our social media. So if you wear a shirt and you're gonna take a picture of that, send it to us, and we might post that on our Facebook page where there's almost 2 million people. Or we might post your workout training on our Instagram, where there's a lot of people there too. So awesome if you guys could check that stuff out. It helps us keep doing Shot Science stuff. Right. Glowboy J600 says, "What's up?"
What's up with you, too?
Yeah,
All right.
What's going on? Okay, so let's get into our topic today. And while we're talking about this topic, we want you guys to send us all of your basketball questions that you may have. So anything related to basketball, shooting, passing, dribbling, defense, how to talk to your coach, athletic training, whatever it is, send it to us. When we're done with our topic, we'll jump in. We'll start to answer those things. We just like to let people kind of show up a little bit. And once everybody's here, then we can get into a more deep discussion with what you guys want.
Right.
So our topic for today is how to beat the double team.
Hell yeah. Well, that's something that happens a lot during basketball games.
Yeah.
We have to be up and ready for it.
Yeah, that's one of those things where people panic. They see two people running at them or another guy coming in, and it's one of those situations where if you aren't experienced or if you
Don't have a plan.
or you don't see it coming, it's a real panic situation. And that is literally the worst thing you can do is panic. And you'll see that all the time where the person gets a double team and then all of a sudden they kick it out of bounds or they fall on the ground.
Or they pick up the dribble.
Or they pick up the dribble and the people take it from them.
Yeah.
That is not good.
Yeah.
What you want to do is have the plan ready to go.
Right.
And also be aware of what's going on around you so that you can get out of it before it even really gets to you.
Truly.
So what are some things that will help people that are stuck in that situation or see that happening?
You know, let's talk about a number of things that kind of happen to us. Usually, if we're experienced enough, we will see the double team coming. The other team will be set up into a situation where they're trying to move us maybe to one side of the floor so two people can double team us along the sideline, or in those corners at the half court line where they get us to come over the line and now they can trap us right there. One of the things we want to do is always have our head up and see what's going on. And usually if it's a three-quarter court or a full court press, you can see people are lining up and where they possibly going to trap you.
And that's why court vision is super, and court awareness is super important.
Yeah.
Because if you're just focused on your guy or you're focused on the basketball, you can get yourself into some sticky situations where that other person comes off and sneaks up on you, or something develops that you're not watching. Your teammate is open, whatever it is. But in this double team setting, that's again another situation you need to have that awareness for.
Yeah. Oftentimes those double teams will occur when you start coming up the court with the basketball, and they will jump you near the midcourt line, and hoping that maybe you'll pick the dribble up and that they can force you to maybe step back over the midcourt line, or they get you to those corners that we were talking about just a moment ago.
And the reason why that's bad is because those are kind of artificial defenders, right?
Yes, they are.
So,
boy, those lines, the exterior and the midcourt line, those are really put us in jeopardy there, because if we once step over that midcourt line and then we can't step back, if we do, or step on line even, then it's going to be a turnover and the ball goes to the other team.
And the absolute worst places that you can go on the basketball court are those corners.
They are.
They're the worst.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at this and see what we might do. Let's say the ball has been thrown into you and you turn to look up the court and you can see that there are two people there. Maybe they're in a 2-2-1 press and they're starting to come toward you in a double team. Your other teammates will take it. They have spaces usually where they know they're supposed to go when you're facing a press so that you know where they're going to be. The other thing that is real important for us is as you turn up the floor and you start to dribble is when you see them starting to come to you, what you want to do is take and maybe give a couple of retreat dribbles away from them so that they'll continue coming at you. Because, the thing that's really kind of interesting here is that you can use those movements against them in this manner. What we want to do is never, let me do it this way. What we always want to do is we want to attack one of those defenders. Okay.
And can I stop right here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's we talk about this all the time too,
Yeah.
is that you never want to be the person that is reacting.
Yep,
You want to be the one that is acting.
Yep.
And this, what we're just about to talk about, is one of those situations where you don't sit back and wait to see what happens.
Right.
You see, kind of what they're trying to do, and you take action and you neutralize what's going on. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what we want to do is keep that dribble alive as we back away because they're going to continue to come and put that heat on you and try to cut off passing lanes. And so one of the things that we teach our players is this, is if you face a double team, you want to take and attack the defender that is toward the middle of the floor. Yep. And if you're kind of off to one side, you don't want to take and attack that guy to the sideline side. Oh, can't spit stuff out today. Because what they will do is that two of them will run you right into that sideline, and now they got you. But what we want to do is that if I'm out on the floor, let's say I'm a little bit to the left, and they're really starting to pressure me and I've backed away, I want to attack one really hard, and that's the one to the middle of the floor.
And the reason why you want to do that is because attacking one guy is so much easier than taking on two at the same time.
Well, yeah, especially when they're out in their pond for the basketball. And so what we want to do is we attack that person and we go strong at them.
Yep.
And now what happens is that now you're one-on-one and you're wondering yourself, well, what about that other guy? The other guy, or girl as it may be, is now going to be a chaser. They're not involved in a double team anymore. They are chasing, and what happens is that when you go to the inside, they actually are being screened off by their own player. And so you kind of negate that double team, and so you just take the ball as far as you can, and if you find somebody who's open, advance the ball to them. Game over, okay? And the worst things that we can do is to get into that double team and then pick the ball up.
Yep.
Because once you pick the ball up, now they really have you in a pickle because your other teammates may be cut off so that they can't receive passes, and so it becomes really difficult to pass over.
And they'll crowd the crap out of you,
Yeah.
and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and so what you want to do is really keep your dribble alive, and you want to attack the one to the middle of the court. Let me go by why we want to attack the one to the middle of the court. Because you have more room when you turn to the middle of the court. If I'm anywhere toward the sideline and I go to that sideline because I think I can escape, they're probably going to take and get you trapped on the sideline. So you want to take an attack to the middle of the floor so that you have more area in which to get around that particular person.
And not to mention, the basket is in the middle of the floor.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And that's what they're trying to protect.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, those guys will be off to the sides, and they're going to have to try to collapse back into you, which is going to open up other people. So, it really is important to stay away from those kind of artificial barriers or artificial defenders that are along the sidelines and along the half court, and really keep it to the middle of the court so that you have free range to go.
Yeah.
And, the other thing, too, is that it's normal to panic when you see those two guys coming up on you, two defenders coming up on you. But it's what you do with that panic. If you know what to do, it really is not a big deal.
Yeah.
But if you have no plan, you're in trouble. So you should never pick the ball up. That is your first instinct when it's just very natural that when people are coming at you that you're going to pick it up because you're going to try to protect it.
Or throw it to somebody else and they may cut off the passing lanes for you.
Yeah,
okay.
But don't do that. That's one of those things where you need to take a second and kind of see what's going on and keep that dribble alive. One of the worst things you can do on the basketball court is give up your dribble before you really should or need to. Yeah. And that is a perfect situation because it will help you get out of that situation. If those guys are rushing you, you pick up the ball, they clamp down on you. You only have one way out of that, and that is passing the ball off. And a lot of times the defense has shifted to stop any of that, and they've cut you off. Okay. And you'll get a 5-second call. You'll throw the ball off your foot. You'll throw the ball and hand it over to them. There's so many things that go wrong. You keep yourself in control, you're going to be able to get out of that.
Yeah, and usually when teams are known to press, your coach is aware of that, and they've prepared how you need to deal with it. And so maybe what they'll do is they'll move the ball from one side to the other and beat that double team just by movement of the basketball. And that's another way to attack it also, is just moving the basketball amongst your players. And the best movement is side to side. And what I mean by that is if I throw the ball to the left, they're going to look in the middle, throw it back to me, and I'm going to look to the right. They're going to look to the middle, and we maybe have somebody break into the middle, and we can break that press right there and defeat it that way. But we're talking about how you maybe get caught in a situation that is kind of a surprise, and that's how you want to deal with it.
And in all truth, it actually is. You should get excited when you see that double team, because you know that that's going to leave an open man on your team. And so you should get the attack going immediately, get the ball to that person, and then you can find yourself in an opportunity because your guy is going to be trailing you and in recovery mode. So you can give the ball up and, maybe make a cut to the basket or step out to the 3-point line, and you can end up getting the ball back with an even better look. So you see that stuff, instead of panicking, have a plan, and then utilize that to kind of make it something to your advantage. Yeah. Right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's good. That's a good little short one for today.
It is for today.
But we like to tell you guys like those little nuggets of things because we see younger people struggle with that. And if you go watch a youth league basketball game, it's like double team town, and people are throwing the ball off their foot and throwing it off the wall because they panic. Yeah. So hopefully that's something that kind of gives you a blueprint of what to do. Okay, so if you have more questions about that, let us know in the chat, and we'll get to those again. Remember, go check out shotscience.com where we have all of our shirts and training gear, like the vertical jump box training kit, some other training gear there as well, and the all access membership stuff. We actually had Maria Reyes, who was just in here. It looks like she might have left, but she was asking if we had any videos on dribbling between the legs.
Sure,
and we do. We have some of that on YouTube in our library here, and we also have that on shotscience.com. Okay. So before we get into answering your guys' questions, and please keep them coming, anything basketball related, shooting, passing, dribbling, defense, how to talk to your coach, athleticism, the usual stuff. We have a question for you guys, and that question is the same question we have every week, and we want to know,
where are you located in the world?
Yeah, where are you guys from?
Yeah.
We want to know, are you from Madagascar? Are you from India? Are you from Russia? Lithuania. Lithuania is our good go-to because that's a big basketball community.
Big basketball.
But we want to know where you guys are from, and let us know, because that really gets us excited about knowing that you guys are in that part of the world watching us in our part of the world, which is Santa Cruz, California, which is south of San Francisco. Right. But we love seeing where you guys are from. Like we have Shafi Youssef, who's from Franklin Springs, Georgia. We have Mustafa, who's from Turkey. Very cool.
All right.
Adam Tanganon, who's from Watsonville, who is just down the road from us.
Just about 12 miles, yeah.
Explorer Nature is from Florida.
All right.
Young Whiteside 305 is from Miami, Florida.
Cool.
Cool. So if we have more people that show up, we'll try to shout out those people. Usually we get a whole bunch of people letting us know. I think there was somebody up here at the top, too. Yeah. Oh, Bulldogs. Hello from cloudy northern Michigan. Hopefully you got our tweet back to you about your shot. Very cool. We have Alfredo Sauce from Boston. I remember Alfredo Sauce from last time. Very cool. But keep sending in those questions. This is the time to get them answered because we are just starting. By the end, we usually have so many that it's hard to get to everybody. So let us know what you got going on. And if you guys are playing basketball this weekend, let us know what's going on there too. Garlic says, I know how to beat the double team. You pass the ball.
Well, that's generally very true. What we're talking about is that situation where you kind of get surprised with the double team and nobody on your team really is ready to help you. And even if they come back, maybe they're not of much assistance. And so this is how you deal with the situation by yourself. Attack that defender to the middle of the floor and just go.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's one of the options for sure.
It is. Or it can be an organized situation that maybe your coaches coach you up on, where we are going to move or pass the basketball from one side of the floor to the other and looking to get the ball in the middle. Okay.
Passing kills a lot of defense right out of the gate because it's hard to. And we're talking earlier about being the actor, not the reactor.
Yeah.
And the thing about passing is that the defense has to react to it.
Sure.
And so if you pass the ball from one side of the court to the other, they're going to be playing recovery because they have to catch up and shift to what the new look is. And so that's a really kind of vulnerable situation for them, where you can take advantage of that because you're basically a step ahead at least of what they're doing.
Sure.
And so it really that will definitely negate some of the double team if you're moving the ball.
Exactly
the
right.
double team can show up when you're holding the ball on.
That's
for too
usually
long.
when you get in trouble, when you hold the ball too long and you allow them to close in on you.
Yep. This is from Explorer Nature, who says, "How do you get to pass at an elite level? How do you
Get past.
Oh yeah, wrong word there. How do you get past an elite level defender? You have to have the tools in your tool bag."
Yeah, you really do. And what are those tools? Well, one of the things you have to do is be able to dribble a basketball and learn how to attack a defender. I don't think I've ever seen the perfect defender where they can just shut down anybody and everybody. Usually there'll be somebody who is very quick with their feet, very quick with their hands, but even they can be beaten. And how you do that is, let's say you catch the ball and they're right up in your grill. And we teach this to everybody. If they're crowding you, your first rule is go to the basket right now. Don't hesitate. Don't do anything. Because the closer they play to you, the less time they have to react to that attack on the basket.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you got to go all the way to the basket, but it puts them in a very bad way. The other thing is try to get them leaning in one way or one direction or the other, and then go opposite. For example, let's say we're using a jab step and we're jab stepping to the right, and we get that person to step in that direction, and then we attack them going to the opposite side. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do to really help yourself out against those really good defenders.
Yeah, and I think again comes back to actor reactor.
Yep.
If you are a step ahead, it doesn't really matter what they are doing because they need to catch up to you.
Yeah.
And so those things that you're talking about, all these offensive tools like the jab step, like the hammer, like the long 1-and-1, and then after that, the dribble attacks, like the scissor dribble, the flat back, the in and out. All these things come together and they help you become the acting basketball player. Also, having the ability to shoot, attack off the dribble, distribute the pass, all of those things make it hard for them to guard you because they don't know what you're going to do. And, if you can't shoot the ball, then they're going to play off of you and they'll let you do your and one mixtape right there in front of them because they know that you're not going to have or that you don't have the ability to shoot the shot, so they can give you all the space that they want. But as soon as you're able to hit that shot, they have to respect that.
And then they'll get up into you. Yeah.
And then you can attack them. And so it really is about having all the tools, and then it doesn't really matter what level the defender is because you're able to give them a look and they have to react to that. Whether they're able to keep up, that's remains to be seen.
Well, the other thing too is development of confidence in yourself to be able to go by people. Casey mentioned one move here a minute ago, which probably you went by most all of you, and that is the use of the hammer. And I'm going to recommend that you go to our YouTube channel and find that, because oftentimes what happens with those defenders are really pretty tough is they will get an arm on your hip, or they'll hold you back with their hand as you start to go around them.
Yeah, we all see it where the person is hand checking or arm checking. As a defender, they're doing that stuff, and that's all to control you.
Yeah, exactly. And officials let them get away with a lot of that kind of stuff. So go check out that particular video. It's called A Hammer, and it shows you how to get that arm off of you so that you can release that pressure for you when you decide to go.
And also, I would say getting footwork down on everything. Footwork eliminates so much of the advantage from any defender, or if you're flip-flop the other way, the offender. you just need to get the footwork down. And what happens is that you put them in positions where they're always a step behind, or they're on your back because you sealed them.
Yep.
And, when you do stuff like the long 1-and-1, you're effectively putting them behind you, and they have to play catch up to that. And that's real hard.
It is. It is. They're in chase mode after that.
Okay, we have Palumi, who's here from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
All right.
And we have, before we get to Luca, I want to say, if you guys are having problems with your shot, now would be a really good time to ask us some questions about that, and maybe we can help you figure that out. If you're struggling with, maybe your percentage or a way that you're missing, if you're bricking shots or whatever, let us know, and we can try to help you work that out. This is from Luca RUD, who says, "Hi, I'm from Romania.
Right.
I'm 16 and I'm struggling with decision making in the move and finish category. I can perform them if I do the moves individually. When I'm in a match, I kind of freeze and mess up." So
Okay. All right.
he can pull it off in practice, but can't pull it off in a game.
Right.
And hello to Romania. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Here's what we would recommend. Oftentimes, students, when they are working on different skills in basketball, they never really work at a game speed. And what happens is that then you're faced with the game speed execution in a game, and you're not able to pull it off because you haven't practiced in that. And
In that setting.
And you haven't developed any confidence in yourself to be able to beat that situation either. And so we would recommend this, that we'll check and make sure that all the elements of what you're trying to do are in line.
But
correct.
why don't we say the 3 pillars of practice now?
Well, okay, we'll come to that in just a second. But one of the things that Casey mentioned a while ago, which I think is so important in basketball, it's really important in almost every game that we play, and that is how we use our feet.
Yep.
And oftentimes we don't use our feet very effectively, and we're off balance, or we give away what we're going to do with our footwork. And so footwork and developing confidence is probably 2 of the big things that will help you in execution of your moves and attacking people. Hopefully that'll help you out a bunch.
Yeah.
Check out, go to our YouTube channel and check out our dribble attacks, and try and learn how to use those. And I'm going to have Casey go ahead with the 3 pillars of practice here. And using this format that he's going to talk to you about, this will help you develop better skills where you can use them at game speed. Okay?
Yeah. So the 3 pillars of practice are really an approach to your individual skill development that will help you translate your kind of mechanics into real-time game execution.
Right.
So it starts with the first pillar, which is your very dialed in, kind of working on slowed down mechanics. So like if we're talking about shooting, we're going to be using something like the form shooting drill, and we kind of eliminate all of the outside things that we don't need influencing our shot. We're not moving, we're not running into the shot, we're not catching off a pass. We are literally standing in a spot, working on making sure our mechanics are exactly what they want to be. We're getting tons of repetitions, and we're just making sure that everything is nice and polished and looking good.
Exactly.
That's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is game speed, game intensity work, where you're taking the stuff that you were working on in the first pillar, and you're now ramping it up to game speed, game intensity, game look. You're adding in a defender, maybe you're visualizing a defender, but you're doing it at game speed. So you're coming off the pass, you're coming off the shot, or off the dribble, and you're getting everything going, and you're trying to ramp it up to what it would be like if you were to step out on the floor and be playing in a game.
And that's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
And you have to work up to it. You can't just go from form shooting drill to going full speed.
Yeah.
You have to work up to it. And that's fine. That's what that pillar is for. But you want to get up to the point where you're able to execute at what it would be like if you were in a game, but without being in a game. It's like a controlled kind of situation, but you want it to feel like a game.
Well, and the whole thing that is really Casey's talking about is really important too, is in a controlled situation.
Yep.
Where you are under control.
And you can replicate it and get tons of repetitions.
Exactly.
And, the key there too is that you practice all of this stuff, whether it's ball handling, whether it's shooting, whether it's passing. You can use the 3 pillars for all of that. The third pillar is game experience.
Right.
So you worked really hard on getting everything dialed in, then you worked really hard on getting it up to game speed, and now it's time to go out there and apply it in the real world, where you're going to play pickup games, you're going to play school team games, you're going to play AAU games, you're going to play traveling team games, you're going to play high school games, whatever it is, getting experience using that stuff in real settings. And, a lot of people think, well, duh, you got to do that. Not a lot of people always do that, because they'll either work on their skills and then go play games, but they're not taking the stuff that they worked on in the first two pillars and then actually doing it in the games. You have to kind of make an active choice to do that stuff.
Yeah, you do.
And there's different stakes for different games. Like if you're playing a pickup game, there's different stakes than if you were to play in a high school varsity, championship game.
Sure.
But all of that matters and adds up. So using the three pillars of practice, you'll find that when you step out on the court, you're ready because you've been there. You've been practicing for that. But if you're just going out there and having a casual shoot around every time that you go and play, or have your practice, and then you try to step into a game, that doesn't translate.
Right. One of the things,
and you'll be in condition as well to do that stuff.
one of the things that we do with all of our students too is we put them through the teaching learning situation. We are teaching them things to do that will help them, whether it be shooting or footwork or defense or whatever it is. We're teaching them how to do these kind of things. And then what we do is we start to speed everything up, so that now, as pillar number 2, it's game speed. And then we like to bring them together with a player that is kind of similar to them physically, meaning they're about the same size, and age-wise as well. And we have them go in what we call buddy practices, where there are two of them here, and they're working on the drills, but separately at the same time. And then what we do is for the last 20 minutes or so, we put them into that situation where now they have to execute the moves and things that we have worked on with them, and they have to do it at game speed. And we kind of put a little bet on the side of it as well, just to get them involved. Now, we're working with a couple of youngsters this morning. They're both sophomore, junior in high school, and one is, they're both about the same as far as skill level is concerned. And they went at it today for about 20 minutes, just kicking each other's rear end by executing these moves and whatnot at game speed. It was really fun to watch. And now I know that when they walk away, and two of them were getting ready to go to one of the local playgrounds where there's a lot of action, and they were going there to play in some of these pickup games against older guys who go to the university this year.
And that's how you get better, too, is playing people that are better than you.
Yeah, and that's how you get better. So there was the 3 pillars of practice for those two guys today in their life. Okay?
And also, a lot of people, they get to the second pillar and they say, well, I don't have somebody to play defense on me, or, I can't ask anybody to do that. Okay, so you need to visualize that you're playing against a defender. You can pretend like somebody is there.
Right.
Sometimes even having a defender who's just kind of not really playing defense, like that's not even as good as you visualizing, okay, I'm going up against this person. And maybe you pick your favorite NBA player,
right,
and that challenges you. Or maybe you pick your rival that you play against every year in school, or you pick your dad or your mom or whoever it is. Visualize that person. If you guys have ever seen the movie Above the Rim, there's a scene where Shep he's at the playground, and he's being watched by the other guy, and they think he's crazy, but he's playing somebody, like shadow playing somebody. And that's kind of one of those situations where you are pretending that somebody's there, and you can visualize that.
Yeah, you can.
And that's very helpful as well.
Okay.
Alfredo Sauce says, how can you have a consistent jump shot? I practice every day, but it's sometimes wet and sometimes not.
Well, what's really interesting there, it's really hard for us to tell you exactly what's wrong with that jump shot. And maybe there's nothing wrong with it. It's just you can't hit every friggin' shot that you shoot. So what would be really good is, why don't you take and make a little video and send that to us. I get those about 1 a week, and I sit down and analyze those, and then I get back to you and tell you, okay, this is what we think about this particular situation or shot. And so feel free to do that.
Yeah, and the other thing too, let me think of this again. What was it? Okay, having a consistent shot and getting consistent results comes down to consistent practice.
Exactly.
A lot of times people, and we talk about this all the time, like if you practice your shot on Monday and don't practice the rest of the week and expect it to be there on Saturday or Sunday, you're setting yourself up for major failure. But if you practice even a little bit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it will be there on Saturday.
Yeah, that's true.
And those little chunks are actually better than like one gigantic chunk on a Monday.
Yeah.
So break it up and be consistent. Consistency in your skill development is actually probably just as important as your diligence in what you're doing.
Right. And as far as shooting is concerned, that should be a daily event for you, that you do that every day.
And like I said, it's better to have 15 minutes of working on your shot a day than have 4 hours on one day a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Bulldogs, our buddy Bulldogs. In your opinion, which is better, fake a pass and make a pass, or no-look passing? And thank you for the Twitter response. You guys rock. Okay.
Fake
a pass.
Okay. In the fake a pass, make a pass scenario, we have vision on what we're doing. We know that there's somebody in the post that we're faking the ball to, and we know that we have maybe somebody on the baseline or in the corner we're going to give it to. Okay, we can see that. When we start making no-look passes and things like that, we're going to turn the ball over.
Well, hold on. I think that there's two things here. These are not opposing things.
No, they're not. They're not.
And they aren't. They should not necessarily be weighted differently.
Right.
Fake a pass and make a pass. Faking the pass is really just trying to get the defender's arms up or down and away from where you're going to deliver the ball.
Well, and to move.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the no-look passing, it depends on what kind of no-look passing you're talking about. Are we talking about, some crazy
wrap around or something like that?
Yeah, some like and one stuff.
Sure.
Or are we talking about just looking the other direction as you pass? And that's one of those things that you get used to after a while with, eliminating the telegraph.
Right.
But you can do a fake a pass and make a pass and do the no look all at the same time.
We can. Yeah.
So we would not weight them against each other. We would say you want to have the ability to do both, as long as we're talking about a no look pass that isn't like some kind of globetrotter exhibition pass. Yeah. And sometimes those passes work too. But
sometimes.
We're talking about one of the biggest things for us, especially for young players that we're working with and everything, is making sure that they make solid passes, crisp passes, smart passes. And, maybe eventually you get to the point where you can make passes that are a little bit, the risk factor is maybe a little bit higher, but the execution or skill level of those executions are a little bit higher as well.
Yeah. One of the things that I notice going to a lot of high school, and especially junior high school as well, boys and girls games, is that the passing usually is not really very good. Better teams, better players, they usually going to do a better job with the basketball and passing. But those who are not kind of marginal, they throw the ball away so much, and those are turnovers that go to the other team for them to have an opportunity to score. So being a good passer is really, really important in the game of basketball.
Right. Okay, guys, keep sending in your questions about anything basketball related. If you're having problems with your shot, if you're having problems with your ball handling, if you have a question about what coaches look for in their players, let us know that stuff right now.
Absolutely.
And tell your friends to come check us out, because that really helps us. Explorer Nature says, can fixing my guide hand help my shot?
We don't know what's wrong with the guide hand. If you can tell us what's going on, and I suspect this is what you're talking about, is that your thumb is raking the ball when you shoot of that assist hand. We don't refer to that hand as the guide hand because it doesn't guide the ball. Usually it screws up the shot. And so we call it the assist hand. And so what we want to do is the thumb on that opposite hand often swipes the ball on the release, and it causes the ball to go right or left, and we can't be very accurate. And so you want to get that hand off the basketball just before the release.
It falls away.
You don't want it on the basketball, because that really is a shot killer.
Yeah, one of the problems with it is that it's an extra variable that makes the shot more complex, which makes it more hard to replicate each time you shoot it. And one of our big things about shooting is that you need to have the most efficient, clean, polished shot possible. If you have any extra stuff going on, that just makes it harder to create accuracy, because accuracy is all a reflection of how consistent you can replicate that shot.
Right.
And if you keep having these weird other things that are going on, whether that's dipping the ball or shifting in the air or doing any kind of flicking with the thumb or kicking your legs or whatever it may be, those are things that you have to replicate every time you do it.
Yep.
And so that makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, it does.
And you don't want that. You want it to be efficient.
Efficiency is the word.
Underrated student says, I have a question. How can you play NCAA if you're from Europe? That's one of those questions that it's loaded.
Yeah, it is.
And the real answer to that is there's a lot of ways to do that. I would go check out some of our older live shows where we talk with some of the college coaches that we know that deal with that kind of stuff. And, you know, they mostly say that you have to get their attention.
Right.
And one of the things that we suggest and that they have suggest as well is that you need to get together your highlight tape or your recruitment reel is really what they are.
Let's say that another way. Get together a video reel or whatever it is
Well, I was
that you're
gonna
going to
break it
present.
down.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the recruitment reel, where essentially the first part of it is a short chunk of highlights, whether that's 3 to 5 minutes of, like, your best plays.
Exactly.
And then after that, having a chunk of time, which is probably best to have a half, your best half of basketball without the edits.
Yes,
so
exactly.
so that coach can watch the highlights and see, oh wow, that person is really talented, and you can kind of pique their interest, and you can get your foot in the door to have them say, oh well, I wonder what they're like as a player in real time, and then they can queue up that half of basketball and they can watch you play, and they can check out your body language, they can check out how you play defense, whether you hustle, whether you listen to your coach,
What your attitude is like.
Yeah, and that's what they look for in that part of it. And then maybe at the end you can have some testimonials from like your coach or from players that you play with or whatever, and that just kind of makes you sound more appealing as a prospect.
Right.
One of the things you want to always keep in mind is that those coaches are who you should be catering to. You shouldn't be making a tape for your buddies or for yourself where you put on some hardcore gangster rap or you put on some death metal or something like that, because a coach has to sit down and watch that, and if that isn't part of their interest, then that can really hurt you in the long run.
Oh yeah.
You have to hope that they'll just shut the sound off, but that doesn't always happen. Yeah. Sometimes they see that, and that's the one that gets pitched in the the circular file. Okay. And so you need to put together some little recruitment reel for yourself. Find these schools that you're interested in, and we would probably both suggest to have a huge volume of those really. At different levels, and send it out to those people, and don't expect that they're going to get back to you. Hope that maybe a handful might, or one or two might, but usually, unless you are a top level talent, it's not always going to be something that will work out. But you have to do the groundwork yourself.
That's true. And one of the things Casey was mentioned here is to plan on sending it out to college coaches. And oftentimes the college head coaches never look at those kind of things. They give that assignment to their assistants. But here's an important thing for you to remember, and that is there are a whole bunch of different levels of college basketball in the United States. And they begin at a lower level, and they just kind of grow and develop and build until you get up to Division I. And Division I is supposed to be the supremo level of college basketball in this country. But there are a lot of great players who play at some of these other lower levels because maybe they didn't get into and weren't recruited by some of those higher level schools, or they didn't want to go. Well, let me finish this thought. One of the things that happens is that in Division III basketball is really big in this country. There's over 400 teams, okay? And Division II basketball, Division III basketball can't offer scholarships for play.
And athletic scholarships. They can't offer scholarships. They can offer academic.
And so you probably would have to find that you get some kind of a scholarship maybe for your academics, or you can go to their offices, financial offices, and they often have programs where they will take you fit right into this area right here, and so we'll grant you so many dollars to go to school here. Okay.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too, is that a lot of times the higher up in the levels of basketball you go, whether that's Division I or whatever, or if you're playing in the NBA, that's a elite level. Those elite levels, sometimes they don't even look at the skills first.
Yeah.
They look at the bodies first.
Yeah.
And if you're not 6'7", 6'9", and can outrun,
Out-jump.
out jump people that are regular people, or if you aren't a super athlete at that height too, they don't even look at you.
Yeah.
And maybe you have to make your case in some other way, because there are people that get through there. But the thing is that you have to have expectations that maybe that's where you would like to be, but also you can play at the lower levels and then move up the next year, the year after, or whatever, if you're able to do that.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be crushed because you don't make Division I Duke basketball. You probably, unless you're an elite athlete, elite freakish body type, and lucky, you're not going to be that person.
Yeah.
So have expectations that will help you keep moving, and don't be crushed if you don't get that huge milestone right out of the gate. Right.
Now, let me throw this in as well. In the United States, there is what they call NAIA level basketball, and it has two divisions, A and B. And those are kind of the lower levels, but they play great basketball. They don't get all those huge players all the time, but they play really good basketball. And one of the things that you find about some of those schools that are Division II, III, NAIA, is they have some great shooters, guys who can really shoot the basketball. But they didn't make it to the D1 level because maybe of their size, their speed, athleticism. And so don't shut the door on yourself by not looking at those as well.
Yeah, okay, that was a major kind of rant, but...
And the NAIA offers athletic scholarships.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of ways to make that happen.
Yeah.
Like I said, it would be good for you to go check out some of those discussions with those college coaches. Kevin Somera says, how to develop fast twitch lower body muscles. That's the thing that we would point you towards is going to check out our vertical jump video stuff on that. It really comes down to the specific way that you train if you're trying to develop fast twitch muscle fibers. And that's kind of all built into the explosiveness, and we build that into that program.
Right.
So go check that out. There was one I saw up here that I went right by. Shafi Yusuf says, how can I always have my right side and right shoulder to the basket? Are you talking about shooting? If you're talking about shooting, that really just comes down to having that slight stagger and emphasizing your shooting side towards the basket.
And footwork.
Well, yeah.
The footwork is the key. How we use our feet to orient ourselves, to throw the ball, to pass the ball to somebody in an opposite direction, shoot the basketball. All that has to do with how we use our feet. So learn how to use your feet. That's the important part.
Yes, very much. And if you go check out our videos on YouTube and also at shotscience.com in the All Access area, we break that down to, here's where your feet need to go. 1, here's the other one, 2, and we do it in slow motion and show you the drills that you need for that stuff. Yeah. This one is from AFG Best, who says, how can I jump higher? What exercise should I do? I need it. Please answer me. That's easy. Go check out our videos on the vertical jump here on YouTube. You can also get the vertical jump handbook. We also suggest that you check out the jump box, which is on shotscience.com. And it has all the gear in it that you'll need to start working on that stuff. It has the foam roll, has a jump rope, the resistance bands. It has the jump bands in it. And you should also check out shotscience.com's all access area, because inside of that we also have a athletic development section where we've specifically talked about developing your vertical jump.
Right.
And we showed demonstrations of all those exercises and everything. Yeah. So that is kind of what we would suggest. We have our own program, our own gear, and check it out. shotscience.com.
Yeah.
LA157 Mary 4 says, hey Tom, could you demonstrate proper hand placement on a basketball using Casey's head? How about
let's try the ball.
Yeah, we have a ball right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to go without proper hand placement.
Okay. Well, one of the things that some coaches talk about and we don't, and they talk about getting your hands or your fingers on the seams because it gives you better control of the basketball. Hey, that ball is round, and most basketballs are dimpled all over the skin, and so you're able to get a pretty good grip on the ball anytime or any way you catch it. Do you have time to arrange the basketball before you shoot it so your fingers are on the seams? No.
And that again goes back to efficiency.
Yeah.
It's not efficient, and if you have to do that every time, that's kind of a bummer.
Exactly. And so what we want to do is we want to have the hand spread, the fingers and thumb spread. And when we spread the thumb, here's what happens. Turn your wrist this way, Casey. Turn it this way.
All the way?
All right. We want to spread this thumb out so that we have room to put one finger in between the palm of the hand and the basketball. Now, what do we get out of that? Well, what we get out of that is we get the little finger and the thumb now are gripping the basketball. And so we have better control of where the ball is going to go. When we have our hand lying flat with the ball down here on the palm of the hand, the ball is really not very stable in our hand. Somebody could tap it and it's out of there. But if we've got that grip on it, we're good. Now, what is that grip like? Is it a vice grip? No, it's just a snug little holding of the basketball with those two fingers, and that helps you control the basketball as you get ready to shoot it.
Yep. And you want to make sure, too, that you have your arm lined up so that, again, you have that slight stagger, and it's going to be wrist, elbow, shoulder, hip, knee, foot. It's all basically in alignment. And the thing about it, too, is that so many people try to force this hand back so that these fingers are pointing straight ahead. And that hurts. I can feel the tension right here. Even if I have that stagger, I can still feel the tension. So you can actually turn your hand a little bit so that you're looking at this Y shape formed by your thumb and your forefinger, and we call it the yoke. And if you look this way, you can see it, this right here. And if you are looking right at that, and that's kind of in line with you, that feels really good, and that's ergonomic, and there's no tension. And what you'll notice is that as soon as you start to extend up, your hand will start to turn into the orientation that it needs anyways, and so you'll get to the ultimate point where those fingers are where they need to be, and you won't have any tension in your shot.
One of the things that we've been talking about lately with our students, just to get them into a situation, because some of them turn their hand toward the opposite side of their body. And what happens is the elbow goes out.
Yep.
And what we want to do is we want to keep that elbow in, as Casey was talking about. And we tell them that we want the index finger of the shooting hand to be pointing, imagine the ball is a clock face. We want their finger to be pointing to between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock. And you can imagine where that is, okay? And if it goes back over the other way like this, where it's pointing to 10 o'clock, your elbow is too far out. And when the elbow is out, you're going to experience two things. Number one, the shot will be flat. And number two, it probably will be short.
Yeah,
okay?
And if you turn it the other way, so you're pointing the 2 or 3, you'll feel the tension because that's not the way your arm is supposed to bend.
Yes, exactly. You talk about ergonomics,
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully that will help you a little bit. Sorry we didn't use my head as the prop. This one's from Mustafa, who says, "Hi, I'm leaning forward when I'm shooting from even mid-range. How can I fix this?"
Leaning forward.
I would say go back to the form shooting drill and work on developing your strength and range from that close-in, shooting range. And once you master the close, I mean like from 2-3 feet away, take a step back, master that, take a step back, master that. And the thing is that you want to be conscious of what you're doing. So if you're starting to lean, you need to stop, maybe take a step forward and work on that again, and make sure that you're not incorporating those things that you don't want in your shot, and work on the form shooting drill. And then after that, you can go to the second pillar and do the game speed, game intensity stuff.
The usual reason for leaning into the shot like that is you don't think you have enough power to get it there. And so you're really kind of lunging at the basket in order to get that extra power. But that's not the power you want, because what's going to happen is going to cause the ball to be pushed on beyond the basket instead of falling in that spot that's right around the net itself. So don't lunge at the basket, and you want to pretty much go straight up and, some people will ask this question all the time. Should I land in the same footprints as I did when I left the floor? Well, pretty close.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that we know when we get away from the basket, we need more power. And we think that we can get that extra power by lunging at the basket, but that changes, and I'm sure your brain has got an awful lot to do with how it calculates all of this. But as you lunge at the basket, you're going to find that the ball is going to go beyond the basket.
Again, an extra variable.
Exactly.
You have to account for that, and that's
Exactly.
it makes your shot less efficient. If you can eliminate the movement, in the horizontal plane,
Right.
that will be an extra variable that you have eliminated from the calculations that your body and brain have to do to get the ball there. So that is super important to really try to get efficient.
Exactly.
And if it's outside of your range, maybe you need to move in and start working a little bit on developing your shot a little bit, and then you can develop your range. Then you can get back to that deeper spot. But
Well-
if you're heaving or you have to jump and lunge forward, you're probably not either A, strong, or B, you haven't connected all the connections that you need to make.
Well, and that's kind of where my mind was going on it. Is sometimes what we refer to as a two-part shot. Most of our power, and people are not really in tune with this very much, is that most of our power comes from our midsection and our legs. Okay, those are the largest muscles in our body. They hold a ton of power for you to shoot the basketball. We have about 15 to 20% of our power that's oriented in our shoulders, arms, and hands. And thinking of it this way is that the upper body is a directional element
delivery
in the shot.
system,
Yeah, it's a delivery system, directional. It's taking the ball where it wants to go. Plus, it has a little bit of power associated with it too. But the real power comes from the lower body. And so one of the things that happens is oftentimes when we shoot, we step into a shot and we shoot it, we have two parts. The bottom part, our legs and whatnot, they straighten up, and then there's a pause. And as soon as you pause, their power is gone. The legs aren't there anymore, and all of you got is that 20% that you have in the upper body. Now, so what we want to teach everybody is that as a part of your shooting is that you actually want to start your shot before the legs finish. In other words, as the legs are extended, you're already into that shot stroke because you want to pick up that power.
And sorry.
And you'll find that the ball will be a lot, let's see what I want to say.
Less live.
Well, it's going to be getting to the basket with less difficulty because you lunge into it because you're trying to get more power.
Yeah, and you add in all that energy to the ball
Yeah.
from your body.
Yep.
And the thing is, too, is that you don't want the delivery system to be the power generator.
Exactly.
Because what you do is you sacrifice that fine accuracy, that fine focus
Yeah.
to get more power out.
Truly.
You don't want to do that. You want your lower body to just be, the rockets, and you want, not the Houston, but, the rockets of your spaceship.
Yeah.
And then you want the delivery system to be the little thrusters that
They make that final adjustment. Yeah.
But you don't want them generating the power so much. Hopefully that will help you a little bit. Rymark, lost it. Hold on. Rymark says, I'm a point guard for my team. My coach says I have to gain more power for passing. How can I gain more power?
Well,
One of the things I would say is that people don't step into passes.
Yeah.
A lot of times they try to just do it from a standstill. And what happens is that you are basically, again, just using your upper body as the power generator and the delivery system.
Right.
And what you want to do is be able to take that step and step into the pass, which shortens the pass, and it also allows you to get some momentum and transfer that into the ball too,
Yeah. Well, one of the things that
and separate from the defense a little bit.
Right. One of the things that will give that ball a little bit more power and snap is when you snap your wrist at the finish. Okay, because oftentimes we're very soft on how we release the basketball. We want to snap those wrists. Actually, we want to snap them down as we're finishing that pass that's on its way. Yeah.
Thumbs end up down.
Exactly. You want your thumbs down, and you're snapping that ball really pretty good with those wrists. That'll give you more velocity on the pass too.
Yeah, and work on it. Like, go find a wall And you can sit there and you can do that for 10 minutes, just doing that.
Just
and
mark a spot on the wall and hit that thing time after time after time after time, and by snapping those wrists.
And things to work on are not standing there on a standstill and doing that. Because, you can do that, but that's not a great way to pass.
Step into it. Yeah.
Step into it with both feet. Learn how to step with your right. Learn how to step with your left. Learn how to do a one-handed push pass as well. Overhead pass. All of those require you to take a step and really work on getting some snap into it.
Yeah, your power's there. You just haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
It's there.
Alfredo Saw says, why does my shot feel different each time I shoot?
Well, you probably don't have all of the elements of your shot worked out so that you do the same thing every time you shoot it.
Got to get back to the form shooting drill.
Yeah, you get back to the form shooting drill and go to our videos on YouTube where you can actually see how that drill is executed. And the reason, every shot there, I think the first shot we shoot is 5 feet from the blocks, more or less 5. We move back to 7 on the 2 pegs, and then we're in the middle of the key in front of the free throw line at about 10.5 or 11. And so you've got those nice short shots that you're working on and developing all of the elements of your shot.
Yeah,
and
you have to break it down.
Yeah, break it down.
And again, it might be a situation where you don't have an efficient shot. You have all these things that are kind of creeping in that make it impossible to replicate.
Yeah.
So work on the form shooting drill. And one of the things that my dad always has us do is that we do the one arm shot from close in.
Right.
And we're making sure that we're not having influence from our offhand or our assist hand, and we're making sure that we're focusing exclusively on the mechanics of this arm and getting those dialed in. And if you can get that so that you're hitting that one arm shot, I mean, that really is the kind of the bulk of all the mechanics that need to happen.
Yeah, it is. And one of the things that we want to make sure is always a part of our shot is making sure that we get sufficient arc on the shot. And the sufficient arc on the shot should carry the ball at its highest point in the arc at about 14 to 15 feet. Okay,
we're going to lightning round this a little bit because we're just about to wrap up. But Alfredo Sauce asks, how can you block more shots? Go check out our video on how to block shots. Yeah. We literally give you the master class on that one.
Absolutely.
Jobless Jay, oh, that's sad.
Wow.
He says, I'm a point guard and they tell me I need to be quicker, but I'm being as hard as I can and hustling hard.
Okay. Well, it could be that maybe you're still quite young yet and you haven't developed enough of that athleticism or quickness or strength that allows you to be quicker.
Footwork again, though. I mean,
and footwork cannot be overlooked, because if it is, you're not going to be very efficient. But anyway, I think one of the things that would help there is go to our, and this is going to sound funny, go to our vertical jump videos and take a look at the exercises that we have people do during that, because those help us in so many ways. They help us be more explosive, which is really important in playing basketball.
It's all about developing athleticism, and explosiveness and quickness are all part of that. And, here's the other thing, too, is that footwork is literally the answer for basically a lot of 90% of these things. And so many people get caught up on trying to be the quickest and blah blah blah. You don't have to be the quickest person to be the most successful. You can look at some of these guys like Steve Nash or even Steph Curry, or there's a long list of these guys that they aren't the quickest ones in comparison to who they're playing against, obviously. I mean, Steve Nash would be an elite athlete no matter what. But, he's not as quick as John Wall. He's not as quick as Kyrie Irving. I mean, but he was able to go out there, and he was, a 2-time MVP, and he was going up against some of the greatest of all time. And he's still a Hall of Fame level player. Sure. And, he was able to do that because his skills kind of were able to elevate him past what maybe athletic, things were holding him back. Okay, anyway. Jacob Rickwaite says, I'm a point guard, shooting guard. How can I make more assists?
Now, that's an interesting question, because assists can occur in so many different situations. And one of the things that would be really good for you to do is to try and analyze what your job is as a point guard. Am I a mailman? Do I deliver the mail to the right or deliver it to the left? Do I throw it into the middle? And when you find out what your role is, then you can start really focusing on getting the ball to those particular positions
I think
and being more more effective, let's say.
one of the best things you can do is attack the basket.
Yep.
Because what you do is you draw in the defender from somebody else, and that person opens up. If you're just going to come up and you're going to make the first pass, I mean, you could do that. You could set up your grandma to do that.
Yeah.
So you need to kind of create opportunity. And the other thing is too is that your teammates need to not just be statues too.
Yeah.
They need to learn to move without the basketball.
Exactly.
Whether that's doing the L cuts, V cuts, backdoor cuts, setting screens, flashing in the post, doing any long list of those things that are that you could do without the ball in your hands, and then you attacking the basket or attacking the gap or whatever. That is something that will help set up situations where you can get more assists or at least pass the ball. So people have to get open. I mean,
Well, one of the things that I noticed in the comment there is you're talking about, I think you were saying that a shooting guard,
point guard, and shooting guard.
shooting guard, and how do you make more assists? Hey, one of the things that is so different today than it was maybe even 10 or 15 years ago in basketball at most all levels is that the shooting guard could just be another player. He could be a 3, he could be a 4 who happens to shoot the ball a little bit. That doesn't mean that is the only thing you're in the basketball game for. Same thing is true with the point guard. Often people will say, well, what are the great qualities that a point guard should have? Well, they got to be able to score. They have to be able to see the floor. They have to be able to initiate play and get their team into different offensive motions and the whole list of litany. And so a shooting guard is not just a shooter. That person is actually an adjunct point guard is really what he is. Okay, go ahead. We'll leave it there.
Okay. I saw this one here. O King Sai says, I have handles and I'm a big. I can break double teams, but the stamina is my problem. What to do? And then Jacob was saying, do cross country. It helps with stamina.
Yep.
I don't think cross country is the best thing to do. You have to think about what is the most functional things to do that mimic what you do on the basketball court.
Exactly right.
Endurance running is not what you do on the basketball court.
No.
What you do is you do short sprints and periods of non-sprints.
And changes the direction.
Changes the directions, yeah. And so working on things like interval training is much more appropriate for basketball training because you're essentially replicating those sprints and breaking them up between, walking or jogging. And so what we think is best is to do these intervals where you sprint and walk or jog, sprint, walk or jog, and do that for 15, 20 minutes. That mimics a game of basketball.
Right.
And the thing about it too is that you can go down to the track and you can sprint the straights and walk the curves. You can go and you can do the ladder drill, which sometimes are called suicides. That's another one that's good. Then you can do, and the dog's barking in the background. Then you can do, ladder drills, and then you can do things like, cutting drills where you're basically running in one direction, plant and push, cut and go the other direction. You see those a lot in football and stuff.
And most of those drills you can get out of coaching magazines or coaching books that just kind of show you those different.
But we talk about them too. So mostly it's don't do endurance training for basketball.
Yeah.
Do conditioning for basketball that is appropriate. Those functional type of things.
Right.
Okay, let's do one real quick right here. This one is from Manny, who says, I'm from Zacatecas, Mexico. In basketball practice, I make 90% of my shots, but in the games, I get nervous and only make 10% of my shots. How can I overcome this problem? We talked about this a little bit before, but I would say go watch our video called Making Practice, Missing Games, and we break that down completely about why and how to fix that. Okay, we have questions for you guys. Our first question is this: where in the world are you guys from?
That's exactly
we want to know in the world, where are you guys?
Yeah.
We are in Santa Cruz, California. And then our second question is this, and let me think of it right now. What is one way that you can beat the double team? And we talked about a lot of them at the beginning of the show, but what is one way to beat or get by the double team?
Yeah.
Okay, and we got, Hello Guys over here from Greece, O King Size from Las Vegas, Serbia from Nije, Jacob is from Jonesville, Michigan, and Haiti is from India.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys check out shotscience.com, where we have all of our Shot Science shirts and gear, our vertical jump box, the training kit to develop your vertical jump, and some vertical jump gear in there as well. Make sure you check out the Shot Science All Access membership area, where we take the things that we talk about on YouTube, but we go into even greater detail and breakdowns, and we show you drills, and we really just go into each thing in great detail. And make sure that you're here next time we have a live show. If we didn't get to your question today, it's not because we don't like you, it's because we ran out of time. But we'll catch you later. Check us out on any social media stuff. We're Shot Science everywhere, right?
Right.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
We'll see you guys later.